presentation. Thank you. Okay, so now we come to the Papanui-Innes. Is Ali here? Oh, right, yeah, Papanui-Innes Community Board and Ali Jones. Ali, great, welcome to the table. Thanks for joining us. Tell us what's happening in Papanui-Innes.
I'll keep my coat on because it won't be long.
Thank you, Craig. That's all right.
Alrighty, so yay. That's our boardroom with signs and our seats. We're going to change that each report so it reflects something from the report.
Oh, it looks like someone's put it on the timer again.
Oh, it's on a timer. Okay, so I'll just let that roll through, and if something comes up, I'll talk to that. There are only a couple of things to come out. We had last night the Papanui-Innes Community Service Awards. We had 18 individuals and 2 groups for those. It was a really, really good event, and thanks to the staff for putting up essentially the same sort of thing as this. It was a rolling visual of slides while we were there. It gave stats out about the ward, it had images about the ward, and it was really interesting, and it was a great opportunity to communicate to everyone who was there some of the information about the ward, so that was fantastic. Everyone got a tree, which was cool. So there was a plum cot, which is a plum combined with an apricot, which sounds quite cool, and a prune plum as well. Some people couldn't fit them in their cars, so that was interesting. So that was very cool. We had, 18, 19, so 20 awards last night. And great kapahaka group from Northcote Primary as well. They were absolutely fantastic. The St Albans Park amenities rebuild, that's on our radar at the moment. It's was a much used facility in our ward in St Albans Park, severely damaged after the quakes and can't be used. So that is now getting underway, and we're expecting a report to come to us very shortly with regards to what the community wants to see there. We're doing older adults research at the moment, or undertaking that, and that is something I've mentioned before. The data has now been gathered, and the board will be getting a report by mid-July. 2 of the things that have come out of that older people's research so far is that some of the elderly in the ward are less likely to leave their homes at the moment because of the roadworks and the damaged roads in the area. The issue with the roadworks is clearly they change regularly, so it can vary, and they're just losing their confidence, and that's really concerning the board because for elderly who are still driving, it's a huge source of independence for them, and if we remove that or in some way hamper that, it affects their ability to link socially with the wider community, so that's of a big concern. They are more likely to leave the house if they have a point of contact. So if they have a concern or a question about roadworks or about anything in the ward, if they have a number or somewhere that they can ring, that seemed to come across as being a positive for them, so we want to consider that. Right, what have we got up? Randall Street, that's handy. So Randall Street has been on our radar as well in the last couple of weeks after a resident contacted us directly. What has happened is not all of Randall Street, which is right at one of the main points of the Dudley Creek conversion project, not all of Randall Street is going to be renewed or be part of the street renewal. So 1/3 of it is not going to be, and in that 1/3, 50% of the residents of Randall Street live in, and in that part of the street that is not being renewed, it has been heavily damaged, if you like, or affected by heavy trucks that have been using it for the work in the rest of Randall Street. So we're concerned that there's not the funding there for that at the moment, and we're working hard to see if that can happen, because the road renewal is due to happen in about September this year. And it seems slightly mad not to do that at the same time. So we are looking at that. A very, very good outcome, though, through engagement with the community. I have to acknowledge Keith Davison, the head of land drainage, and Martin Smith, the head of the Dudley Creek Conversion Project, and Downers for coming on site and talking about this. One of the residents was having, and her family were having terrible trouble sleeping, plus fumes from a diesel generator. Within about 2 or 3 days of us talking about that, it was replaced with a newer, it might even have been an electric generator, yeah. And sorry, Jenny, I forgot you were there.
No, it's all right.
Yeah, no, Jenny's
That's okay.
So that's good. And so the resident is absolutely stoked, and I think that's a really good outcome. It's a shame that it got to that point. The issue was a problem. It should have, in our opinion, have been dealt with much sooner than that. Consultation has been raised as an issue in Randall Street as well, and you may have seen the media report this week. Is putting flyers into letterboxes and emailing flyers the best way to do it? Do we need to regularly meet with residents? Do we need to door knock to make sure they're okay? You know, as one of the residents said to me, we get so many of these things, really I just can't understand them when I look at them anymore, they just could be Greek. So for people who are already stressed and anxious, dealing with insurance and EQC as well, we need to think of better ways of doing things with our communities. And one last thing up there, which is the, no, it might not be the same, Polyphony. Yeah, so this is Polyphony, which I've mentioned before as well. It's a project that has involved the Papanui High School student. Oh, actually, it's involved young people from Casebrook, Papanui High to Oroho, Papanui Youth Development, Intellectually Disabled Youth, Alternative Education, and Canterbury University. And what it is a visual project. Students take photographs of things that they think reflect them and their community, and then they present them on the windows of the Papanui Library, and that's gone very well. The main Papanui parallel cycleway thingy opened recently, so that was good. It was a bit rainy, but that was fine. And the last thing is we are considering a project in the ward which will involve the Smile Couch, and I'm not going to go into any more detail because it's very early days, but basically you can sit on the couch. It's not Ashburton used it, Ashburton District Council used it to introduce immigrants to each other and to the local community, people who are coming in seasonally to pick fruit. We're talking about possibly using it to reintroduce people to their neighbours, to try and get some conversations going. The elderly I mentioned before, you know, let's hear what's happening with the elderly in our community. That's the couch there. Interestingly, when two women sit on that couch and speak, they will sit shoulder to shoulder and turn and speak to each other. I've seen the videos. When men sit on that couch, they physically move their bums around as far away from each other as they can and talk to one another like that. Now, I'm not suggesting anything. I don't know how that could be analysed, but that was a very interesting difference between the genders when I saw it on the Ashburton District Council website. Eh? Bubbles? I don't know. I think maybe men just want to size each other up a bit more and women not so much, but who knows? I don't know. Anyway, that's it. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much, and we look forward to hearing more about how that particular project goes. Interesting stuff. Are there any questions from councillors for Ali? Okay, so do we have a mover for the report? Mike, seconded. Pauline, all those in favour? Against? That's carried. Thank you.